This is Anthony Marinis from Marinis Dog Training and Behavior, and this is another episode of Talking Dogs in a Car. So, I just left a client's house that made an appointment with us because their adult dog was being aggressive towards their puppy, and at least that's what they thought. But actually, what ended up happening was the adult dog was really nice and was very patient and tolerant of the puppy, but at a certain point it was getting to be too much for the adult dog, and the adult dog started having to learn to stand up for itself more and set clear boundaries, more assertive type of boundaries with this puppy. And so it is possible that sometimes when a puppy is placed in a home with an adult dog who may not be appropriate, maybe the adult dog is a bully, maybe the adult dog pushes the puppy around too much, or the adult dog gets very possessive or protective around its things, and sets maybe really over-the-top boundaries with the puppy that just aren't appropriate, that can cause the puppy to develop and have some behavior issues as well if it's growing up around a bully or growing up around a dog who pushes them around too much or doesn't treat them well and overcorrects them or just sets just boundaries that maybe aren't needed or just over the top. And so some puppies can learn to develop issues because of the environment that they live in. So if the puppy is getting pushed around too much, it may have to start learning to get defensive of itself or protective of itself. And so, having a puppy integrated into a home with an appropriate adult dog is super important. But this puppy was actually the one that was the problem. It was not the adult dog. So the adult dog wasn't a bully. The adult dog was actually being very appropriate. And what ended up happening was the puppy was just not being managed correctly and was just thrown in the mix with this adult dog. They got the puppy because they wanted the adult dog, who's 4 years old, to have a friend. And this puppy's now about 4 months old. And so they wanted to get a puppy partially because they wanted another puppy and because they wanted their adult dog to have a friend. And honestly, when I was there and I looked at the adult dog looked me straight in the eye and said to me, basically, he was like, when did I sign the application? When did I fill out an application to be a babysitter? I mean, that's literally what the dog was saying to me when he looked at me in the eye. And so I can't blame that adult dog. The adult dog in that situation was having to set boundaries with the puppy because the puppy just didn't stop. The puppy would constantly push the adult dog around, was being too annoying, too obnoxious, and over time the adult dog just said, I had enough. And because no one in the home stepped in to help the adult dog, that adult dog had to bring it upon himself to step up and start taking matters into his own hands. And so when we get a new puppy and we have an adult dog, we need to make sure that we put the puppy in a good situation and be set up for success, and we need to set the adult dog up for success. So usually with a puppy, you want to make sure you have baby gates, a playpen, and a crate so you can train your puppy to be in those spaces so your adult dog has some alone time, personal time, and so that way they don't get overstimulated and aroused or just running around the house, tearing it up all day long. We want them to have some alone time. So I actually did a video the other day on teaching your dog to be independent and why that's important. So you can always check that video out. But you want to also have those tools up in place, like baby gates, or using a crate or a playpen or even a tether. You want those tools available and to teach your puppy about those tools, because we want the puppy to have some boundaries set for them, some rules put in place, so that way they understand what's appropriate and what isn't. And so I am okay with an appropriate adult dog setting boundaries or giving a puppy a little correction if it's appropriate and if the adult dog really is appropriate. So I'm okay with that, but I am not okay with just let them figure it out, it'll be fine, because what will happen is what happened in this case is that it will cause more problems and even aggressive behavior to start surfacing because no one is stepping up to the plate and standing up for the adult dog in this situation. So the puppy was being really annoying and obnoxious, and at a certain point it just wasn't understanding that the adult dog was saying I had enough through the body language signals and communication signals it was giving off. So at that point, the puppy needs to be removed, plain and simple. So we need to make sure that when we integrate a puppy into a home with an adult dog, that we give them alone time, that we put them in situations when it's appropriate to, and we make sure that we have to physically be there to manage them. We can't just allow them to run around the house and think that it'll be fine, because it may not be. Like in this situation, aggressive behavior did start developing only because the puppy wasn't being managed appropriately. So make sure that you're managing your puppy appropriately. That means that they need alone time, they need their own nap time, and that means that they need to be placed in their playpen or in their crate to take a nap away from the other dog with the door closed, so that way they're both separated, because just like with children who grow up in a home together, like siblings need to sometimes have their own alone time, their own space, and the same thing is true for our dogs. And so that's one thing, making sure that the puppy and the adult dog both have alone time with the owner is also something that's really important. So whether that's going for a walk, whether that's training time, whether it's playing together, just allowing them to have some alone time is super important. And making sure that that they're able to coexist without having to constantly just run around the house, and that they understand boundaries. And if the puppy doesn't understand that, or doesn't read the adult dog's body language appropriately, or just doesn't listen and doesn't care about what the adult dog is saying, then that's where the puppy needs to be removed, and that's where the owner needs to step in and stand up for the adult dog and remove the puppy, so that way everyone is set up for more success. And so that way the puppy learns that practicing this behavior isn't okay, and that it's going to result in maybe a timeout and removal from the situation. So those are just some little tips about a situation like this. So I hope this video was helpful. You can check out my websites, behaviordogs.com, myaggressivedog.com, and you can also hop on the social media pages, Instagram and Facebook, Marinis Dog Training and Behavior.